Somebody asked me a while back, so you're saying we can be spiritual without being religious? And I said, yes, simply. And he did not take my word for it. He did not think as I was thinking at the time. And the truth is, we can be spiritual without being religious. I am very spiritual without being religious. When I'm talking about religious, this is my definition of religion. This is my observations based on the religions that I've studied. I've studied all the major religions and plus some that people don't even know about. And a lot of the things I'm about to say are observed and not inferred. I haven't inferred these ideas. I've simply observed them in many religions, most religions. And most religions have this element of dogma. Dogma that they try to inflict, they try to basically force onto other people so that that person follows the same rules they do. And they try to do it through government, they try to do it through violence, they try to do it through social pressure, even in the laws. I'm Hindu, so I'm very spiritually open to all paths towards God, but there are many Hindus who try to force a religion onto other people in India. Here, not so much. In the United States, not so much. But in India, there are Hindus who try to force religion on other people. There's a lot of violence towards Muslims, for instance, who are very against idolatry, obviously, and who believe in one God and no, secondary gods that are kind of part of the same one God. Muslims do not subscribe to the idea that God is in multiple forms, but one form and shouldn't be presented in an idol or a statue or any kind of picture. And that's basically the opposite of Hinduism. We like to see God in everything. We like to see God in his many functions. In the different gods, those are his functions. And we like to see God even in the things beyond his functions, beyond the gods. We like to see God in different parts of nature. We like to see God as having different pieces of himself in different material items or energetic forms. And us being the sentient, isolated parts of God's consciousness. Not connected to the one completely yet, but that is our goal, to join once more with God as the supreme. I almost said gourd, I don't know why I said that. But the supreme God, basically, the one above all the others. That is our goal, to join with the one God, basically. And that's the goal of every atom for most Hindus. To basically return to the source of all things. And there is dogma attached to this, and there is dogma attached to how other people view God as the one Lord, as the one who is separate, who created, but is separate from creation in Christianity, and who sent down his Son to aid mankind, but we killed him. So we had that sin aspect as a part of us. But that's not where sin started. Our original sin started in Adam and Eve when we chose to eat of the apple of good and evil. But again, we as humans killed Christ, God's only Son, according to Christianity. So that comes with some very sinful nature, just for being the same kind of sentient being as those who killed him. But besides that, we'll go to Judaism, which it doesn't have a view of the afterlife. Basically, fulfilling one's promise to God here on this earth and not conceiving of what's going to happen beyond. But if you get into the Kabbalah, then of course you talk about different dimensions, different elemental planes, and things like that. In Islam, it's the most strict, I'd say. God as being presented in idols, very bad. Even Muhammad, its prophet, the final prophet, according to Muslims, should not be presented in any form, in a picture, in a statue, or anything like that, or even described really very much, because I've read part of the Quran. And the one thing that I like about the loosening of dogma in Islam is that probably my favorite section is Sufism, or being a Sufi. And that's trying to basically mimic Muhammad's actions, his attempts to get closer to God, and his successes in getting closer to God. And it all comes down to the spirit. Just like in many Christian forms, it comes down to not necessarily what you're predestined to do, like in Calvinism, but the method of it, the method of your life, and Methodism, or being Methodist, something like that. I'm not really sure how to say it, but and then you have Episcopal and Christianity, where you value the symbols of God, you value the instruments, but you don't think that you necessarily need them. A lot of it comes down to idols, and herein lies a lot of the dogma, is that, okay, these depictions of God are right, others are wrong. These implements of worshiping God are right, others are wrong. And this idea of God is right, and everyone else who believes through different ideas, believes in God through different forms, is basically cast into hell. That hell itself is the place for people who do not accept forms and understanding of God in a particular part of a religion. Not even religion as a whole. Most of the time it's like, okay, if you're Catholic or Protestant, if you're Protestant or Catholic and viewing the other part of Christianity, you're like, okay, well, it's very likely they're going to go to hell, especially Catholics. And I went to basically Catholic Bible study for a long time in Catholic Church, but viewing Protestants as being those who basically defy God, defy the structure of the religion of Christianity, so are likely to go to hell a lot of the time, as far as how I understand some of Catholicism anyway. I mean, there's other Catholics who don't believe that, but I mean, that's the dogma a lot of the time. Now, there are Protestants who believe the Catholic Church has placed so much value on idols and symbols that they've lost sight of God. So a lot of Protestants believe Catholics are going to hell. And then in Islam, you have Sunni and Shiite Muslims viewing each other as possibly going to hell. The extreme ones, anyway. Not necessarily all Sunnis or Shiites, for sure. But the extreme ones say, like, okay, only, as far as Sunnis go, only the predecessors to Muhammad can be basically imams. Only those who exist in a structure that doesn't necessarily have to be related to Muhammad can be imams. I mean, basically Sunnis disagree with the Shiite idea that you have to be related to be an imam, and Shiites believe that you have to be related to Muhammad in order to be an imam. And there's so much death and killing because of it, but it's a tiny fraction of Sunnis and Shiites that actually kill each other because of this. We only hear about the killing each other, but there are communities everywhere that don't involve themselves in violence. In the United States, here, Shiite and Sunnis go to each other's mosques. I've met and was friends with basically a Shiite Muslim, and he went to a Sunni mosque and it was okay. It's very friendly in most parts of the world, but there are those groups in both sides that want to clash, just like in every other religion. The only war that I really know about in Hinduism, and I'm Hindu, is the war between the Shivites and the Vaishnavites. Those who thought that Shiva was the ultimate form of God, and those who believe that Vishnu was the ultimate form of God. And really, it's a stupid argument because they both represent different parts of God, deconstruction and preservation. But that was hundreds of years ago. But that's the main war that I know about in Hinduism. And other wars in Hinduism are basically based on territory or property or slights against each other, things like that. But what I realized about religion is that religion itself is not bad when it comes to these violent actions. It's those who try to use religion for their own gains, for their own desire to be right or to gain more for themselves. And it's not always clear which one it is, but any religious person who engages in violence because of their religion is using a hammer that can build a building and pound in nails and make a great structure that everyone can use. Instead of doing that, you bash somebody's skull in with it. And that's a very bad misuse of the tool that is a hammer, to use the analogy that I'm discussing. And it's very important that we see the difference between religious extremists and regular religious people. But that being said, spirituality for me is seeing the similarities between different religions, seeing the similarities between people and different ideas of the soul, spirit, and God, and collaborating with one another on trying to understand it for ourselves, and not relying purely on the dogma of a particular religion, or not relying on what our parents told us or made us believe, or friends or community or society made us believe, but truly looking at what reality is, what God is, what the soul is, what spirit is, and what angels are, what demons are, trying to understand it and studying it in multiple religions so that you try to see a grander picture of everything that is. And that's what I view spirituality as being, trying to see the grander picture regardless of these set dogmas and set pieces of set religions. And that's really the difference between religion and spirituality, in my opinion. You know, it took me a while to get there, but I think that the conversation about religion really helped you try to understand this. I hope it did anyway. And if you found any of this interesting, please give me that thumbs up. If you didn't like this at all, hit the thumbs down. And I'm open to any comments. Whatever you want to do, feel free to be active on this video. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you see me in the future and view a lot of my videos. Have a good one.